Nadeem Bukhari notes. Linguistics. The status of linguistics in human knowledge. Para number 1. Man is inquisitive by nature. He has tried to investigate both the macrocosm and microcosm around himself. The phenomenon of language has also been the subject of serious study over the centuries. And the perspective to perceive language has varied from purely personal to largely philosophical, logical, historical, psychological, and essentially scientific. The 20th century, however, claims to be mainly scientific in its approach to investigating the highly complex phenomenon of language. Linguistics, therefore, is defined as the scientific study of language in the present times. Para number 2. But let us first explain what scientific approach is as distinct from others. It has been commonplace in the philosophy of science to identify at least 4 different patterns of what is being explained and which in their turn influence the types of theories and modally considered appropriate for that explanation. All 4 types, deductive, probabilistic, functional and genetic, can be seen to operate or to have operated in linguistic explanation of the phenomenon of language. These type of scientific explanations derive from assumptions about the nature of the objective of description. In case of linguistics, the differences of approach depend on assumptions about the nature of language. That is why we have different schools of linguistics operating premises about language. Para number 3. The most important feature of linguistics is that it is empirical rather than speculative. Its functions, with publicly verifiable data, are obtained by means of observations or experiment. To be empirical is the most distinguishing feature of science. Closely related to the property of being empirically based is that of objectivity. Language is something we tend to take for granted, something with which we are familiar from childhood in an unreflecting manner. This practical familiarity with language tends to stand in the way of its objective examination. There are all sorts of social, cultural and nationalist prejudices associated with the layman's view of language. For example, one accent or dialect of a particular language might be thought to be inherently purer than another, or one language might be held to be more primitive than another. Objectivity demands that beliefs like these should be challenged and terms like pure and primitive either clearly be defined or rejected. Observation of events before setting of hypothesis, which is then carefully investigated via systematic description or experimentation and a theory developed. This is standard procedure in linguistics as in other sciences. Para number 4. Linguistics is a very broad-based subject and the approach adopted depends on the nature of linguistic aspects under study. There are areas such as phonology which is concerned with establishing the sound systems of various patterns is purely scientific. The phonic medium can be studied from at least 3 points of view: the articulatory, the acoustic and the auditory. Articulatory phonetics investigates and classifies speech sounds in terms of the way they are produced by the speech organs. Acoustic phonetics, in terms of the physical properties of the sound waves that are created by the activity of the speech organs and travel through the air from speaker to hearer. Auditory phonetics, in terms of the way speech sounds are perceived and identified by the hearer's ear and brain. Para number 5. Every well-established science employs its own characteristic theoretical constructs. Thus the language system can be described in scientifically more respectable terms, as a theoretical construct. Questions, though, could be asked about the reality of such constructs, just as they can be asked about the reality of the theoretical constructs of physics or chemistry. In theoretical linguistics, therefore, the linguist is interested in the properties he assumes all languages must have and supplies the concepts and categories in terms of which particular languages are described. Para number 6. In descriptive linguistics, the linguist is interested in describing language in scientific way. It is because of these scientific procedures that we have been able to find out all the systems, both verbal and non-verbal, operating in the interhuman communication. These systems may be designated as syntactic, semantic, lexical, stylistic, pragmatic, and in the field of non-verbal behavior manifested in variety of ways. All different schools of linguistics are basically objective in approach, although their perception about language is slightly different from each other. Para number 7. There are areas of linguistics such as sociolinguistics, anthropological linguistics, which follow procedures characteristic of social sciences. Here linguists deal with human behavior, which in most cases is idiosyncratic and erratic. It is then rather hard to make any conclusive judgments about human beings, their attitudes and reactions on all circumstances. Para number 8. Like all other pure or social sciences, linguistics is an independent subject with its own system of terminology. These terms are essentially new concepts linguists have come up with as a result of their investigations about various aspects of language. Every branch of linguistics operates with a new set of terminology as distinct from other subjects. Para number 9. Linguistics has an applied side too. Theories and descriptions are applied to various practical tasks involving language in general. Ideas and concepts, findings, and linguistic principles have successfully been applied to such areas as language pedagogy, speech therapy, interpersonal communication, codification of language, translation, etc. Para number 10. Thus it is clear from the discussion in these pages that linguistics is a very wide subject. Some areas of linguistics are purely scientific, whereas others, although highly objective and empirical, follow the procedures common in social sciences.